table.
Baptist.
Bunch of back row Baptists. Got your seats staked out. Won't move for nothing. Y'all are funny.
You got your table, John.
Huh?
You have your table.
I know. I'm a front row Baptist. So. All right. Y'all be sure to remember Rudy Barton having surgery in the morning. He's having a surgery on his arm. And Cheryl Headley is having open heart surgery in the morning. So y'all be sure to remember those two. And Pam Hill is going to MUSC to check out her issues again. So she's going back down there. So, okay?
Things aren't falling apart.
What?
Things aren't falling apart.
Yeah, they are. They're not. They're falling together. They're falling into place. I wore this shirt on purpose because we're talking about the second half of tribulation. Things are not falling apart. They're falling into place. All right. Let's pray and get started this evening. Who can I force to pray tonight? Arlie, you want to pray for us?
Father, thank you. Come together in fellowship as believers on the bond, the Holy Spirit connect us all. Thank you for all the time and time that you put in to prepare to teach us what you want to do. In Son's name I pray. Amen.
Amen. All right, we're doing the technology of the tribulation period. The technology that is necessary in order for it to be like the Bible says it will be. In order for it to be that way, there has to be a certain level of technology. Okay. The sheet is. I left y'all room to write on it. So if you don't have a pen, there's pens over there on the table. Go get you a pen because I left you room to write. Take your notes on here because if you write it on there, you might remember it more than a day or two. If I tell you, you might not remember tonight. So, okay. So if you write it down, maybe you'll remember it a little while. All right. Big tech. We hear a lot about Silicon Valley and big tech, don't we? We hear a lot about that. The people on Wall Street call big tech FANG, F-A-N-G, F-A-A-N-G. They've added an A. It used to be F-A-N-G, now it's F-A-A-N-G. Those are Facebook, Apple, Amazon, Netflix, and Google. Facebook, Apple, Amazon, Netflix, and Google. Those are the big tech that we deal with in this country. And they call them up before Congress and they make them testify and nothing ever gets done. Okay. Nothing ever gets done. Little tech. Who in here remembers Parler? Who remembers Parler? Dan Bongino and several investors were going to start a social company and like Facebook, and it was going to be free speech. And Facebook didn't want that, so they called Amazon, and Parler was going to use Amazon Web Services to do their storage and stuff. And Facebook called Amazon and said, "Shut them down. Just shut them down." And they did. Facebook shut Parler down. Went out of business. Couldn't get web services. Couldn't get it. So it just put it out of business. And that was they put them out of business. When Instagram came along, Facebook wanted it. So they bought it. If it was something they wanted, they paid for it. If it was something they didn't want, they just put them out of business. That's the way big tech works. Okay. You now have Truth Social and you have Rumble that are going around Facebook, going around Amazon, and able to exist right now. I don't know how long they will, but for right now, they are able to exist. Truth Social and Rumble are still exist. Okay. All right. It says in Revelation 12 that no one will be able to buy or sell in the second half of tribulation. Nobody will be able to buy or sell unless they have the mark of the beast on their right hand or on their forehead. The only way you can have that is if this world is cashless. As long as there's cash out there and I can pay you straight and you give me the product, they can't stop that. The only way that can stop is if the world is cashless. Right now, there are Scandinavian countries that are cashless. There's Scandinavian countries that do not take cash. The whole country do not take cash. There are restaurants in Greenville, South Carolina that do not take cash. You pay with a card. There are those here. It is spreading. Okay? It has to be that way. And it's been going on for a while, but it started in the past. I've got under 3 there, the letter A, fiat money. Fiat money. They just create money out of thin air. It has no value. It has nothing behind it. It's just created money. It's just fiat money. The first thing when the government tells me that I got a refund on my taxes and they send the refund to my bank, there's no actual money that came. There's no actual money. The government just said you got a refund, and they supposedly let the bank know, add this amount to his bank account, and they do. And they do. But there's no money actually gained. There's no money involved at all. And I can go to the bank and get the money, but there was no money that came from the government. It's just fiat money. It's just electrons, basically. It's just electrons being sent. There's no real money. That's a big part of the digital dollars they want to make. That's a big part of that. The digital dollars, where they take every dollar and turn it into digital so that the government controls it and you don't. They can shut you down. They can shut your bank account down. They can see how much you spend. They'll know how much you spend, where you spend it, everything. The government can do that. When we go cashless, that's the way it'll work. When we go cashless, that's the way it will work. They will oversee every bit of your bank account. Okay, they'll know how much you spend, where you spend it, what you spend it on, how much money you have in the bank, everything about it. And I'll tell you something. I love Donald Trump. I think he's doing most of his policies are really good, but he's kind of kicked in on the digital dollar thing. He's done some things, tied the government and the cryptocurrencies together, and that can be a real problem. That can be a real problem. So, I understand what he was trying to do, but I don't think the next person, Trump ain't gonna be there forever. The next person may take it to the wrong level. So, and what about Bitcoin? What is behind Bitcoin? What is behind any cryptocurrency? Zero. Nothing. There is nothing behind it. There's nothing to make it valuable. The only thing that makes it valuable is the government doesn't control it right now. Right now. They're trying to get control of it. They're doing it, creeping it up on it, getting it a little at a time, but they're trying to get it. But all the cryptocurrencies, there are today 17,151 cryptocurrencies. 17,151. In 24, there was 18,000 even. So some of them went away. Some of them penny cryptocurrencies went away. 17,151. Okay. Bitcoin has 21 million coins. 21 million coins. A few months ago, Bitcoin was over $100,000. It was 110, I think it was $110,000 per coin. Per coin.
I Googled it last week and they said it was 92,000 per coin.
All right. In 24, it was 94,626 in 24. All right. When I checked it earlier this week doing my update, it was $88,489.27 per coin. Okay, that's equal to $1,858,274,670,000. That's what the value of Bitcoin was. $1,858,000,000,000. Okay, but today, I checked it today before we came. Today, it was $88,000 when I checked it earlier in the week. Today, it is $75,068. It lost $13,000 in a week. Less than a week. $13,000. The best explanation I ever heard about cryptocurrency is this. Think of it like art. When you go to an auction and you pay big bucks for a painting, you hope it goes up in value. And somebody down the road will pay you that higher value for that painting, right? You buy.
Is that Hunter Biden art?
No. He gets paid in powder. he gets paid in powder. He just, the way he could do that was he was expert with a straw. That's what made him able to do that art. That's what he used, y'all. His art was made with a straw. He was expert with a straw. All right. Where was I before Todd rudely interrupted me? Bitcoin. Right now, it is, as of today, it was $75,068. The top 7, I went through the whole list. I pulled out the top 7. Bitcoin was $88,000 the first of the week. Number 7 was $234. And that's with Trump behind it. And it goes on down to 1,751 of them, 151 of them. They go on down to 2 cents, 10 cents, 12 cents, that kind of stuff.
Whatever they say.
Yeah.
I read not long ago, and I don't know if it's true or not, that when Franklin Roosevelt was president, he signed an executive order that no American was allowed to own gold or silver. They were forced to sell their gold and silver to the government.
That's true.
For $26 an ounce.
Mm-hmm.
And then immediately he raised the price to $45 an ounce.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, he took everybody's money and made the government rich.
When I was a kid, the standard price of gold was $35. Right now, it's a little less than 5,000.
So to me, that's what they're doing with Bitcoin.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to say, you don't have any. Here's Bitcoin.
Mm-hmm.
Your 401k, we're just going to give you Bitcoin.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So that's the top 7. If you bought Bitcoin when it first came out, if you got it for 10 or 15 bucks, you are rich now. You can sell it if you can get somebody to pay you that for it. You can make a lot of money. But it's lost from 110,000 down to 75 in about 4 months? 4 months, something like that. So it's a gamble. It's a gamble. Okay. There's nothing behind it. The only thing that you hope somebody will pay you what you think it's worth. Okay? You hope somebody will pay you what you think it's worth. All right. Cash in circulation. Cash in circulation in America. And when I wrote this sheet, I think it was 20 or 21 when I did this sheet, there was 163 trillion in cash. 1.63 trillion. 1.63 trillion in cash. That's about $5,000 a person. Today, there's $2,322,900,000,000 in cash. $2,322,900,000,000 in cash. That is $6,792.11 per person in America, including the little bitty babies. So they actually, in this past year, in the last year that they had, you can't get records up to date. They're not up to date. This is 24 or 25, 25, 24, 24. They added 25 billion in 24. Remember who was president in 24 and who was printing money? You remember that? Do you recall that? The U.S., when I did this sheet in 20, the U.S. borrows $1 million every 22 seconds. That's what it said in 20. Last year, it was, in 23, when they were printing money like crazy, they were borrowing $1 million every 32 seconds. They were not borrowing, they were printing money instead. That's how you got to 30% inflation in 4 years. That's how you got there. They were printing money instead of borrowing money. They needed to buy votes with. All right. In 24, they had to straighten up the inflation, so they started borrowing every 21 seconds. They couldn't print anymore. Now, this year, the U.S. now borrows $1 million every 20.78 seconds. Every 20.78 seconds. Almost 3 million a minute. Almost 3 million a minute. China, rich people, all kind of things. There's all kind of people own our debt. Okay? Own our debt. So they borrow $1 million every 20.78 seconds. Now, if there's anything going to bring down this country, it's probably going to be money. Tell you right now, it's probably going to be money. This country is going to do what the Bible says it's going to do. In Zechariah 14, it plainly says that all nations are coming against Jerusalem. What does all mean in Greek? Did y'all hear that? What does all mean in Greek? All. All right. So I did this when I first did this, I did it with $1,000 bills because we still had them. They've done away with $1,000 bills. We're now down to hundreds. So now I've got it in $100 bills. A stack of $100 bills. And when I say a stack, I don't mean end to end. By the way, I borrowed this from a loan shark. He's sitting right there. I don't mean this way. I mean a stack. Like you stack up money. Okay? That's what I'm talking about. I'm talking about stacked up money, just like that. Sitting on the table and you stack it up. You got so many together and it's got a band around it and you stack it up. That's what I'm talking about. Okay? How tall is a stack? Now, most of y'all been here before, but the ones that hadn't, how tall is a stack to make $1 million? Stack of $100 bills. 40 inches. 4 inches taller than a yardstick. 4 inches taller than a yardstick, and you got you $1 million. Okay? So get you a yardstick and start stacking. Okay? All right. Well, if 40 inches makes $1 million, how tall would it be to make $1 billion? $100. Just like that right there. How tall would it be? 3,333 feet. 3,333 feet for $1 billion. They talk about $1 billion like it's nothing, right? Well, what's the big saying in Washington? $1 billion here and $1 billion there, and pretty soon you're talking about some real money. That's what they say in Washington. $1 billion here and $1 billion there, and pretty soon you're talking about real money. That's the attitude in Washington. 3,333 feet is 600 feet taller than the tallest building on Earth. Tallest building on Earth is 2,700 feet. 600 feet taller. That's to make $1 billion. We spend $1 billion like it's nothing. Nothing. Well, what about $1 trillion? You cheated. She's looking at the paper from last year. She cheats. 631 miles. If you laid that stack down, 631 miles high, if you laid that stack down, it would reach from Greenville, South Carolina to Port St. Lucie, Florida, on the Atlantic side. I picked that city because that's where my daughter used to live. She used to live in Port St. Lucie. That's how far it would reach. Okay, our debt. Here's our debt. What it is today. 38 trillion, 662 billion, 514 million, 468,989. That's dollars. This is dollars. That's a dollar. That's 38 trillion, 662 billion, 514 million, 468,989. And it look at the debt clock sometimes. You can't keep up with it. They're borrowing $1 million every 20 seconds. You can't keep up with it. This is what it was when I looked. It's way past that now. This is probably 53 or something by now. 530 something thousand million, I mean. All right. That would make a stack of $100 bills, a stack 24,406 miles high. $24,406 miles high. All right, I'm going to demonstrate how far that is. Okay? I brought my trusty globe that weighs a ton. It's made out of gemstones. Here's South Carolina right here on the globe. If you laid that stack down around the globe, it would go around the globe, all the way around, come back around, and come back to Memphis, Tennessee. The only place there wouldn't be a stack of money is the 500 miles between here and Memphis.
By the time you got there, it'd probably be there.
It'd probably be there. By the time you went around the world, probably would. It was almost circle the globe. It almost circle the globe. So I put this over here. Y'all can look at it. America's in turquoise, y'all. That's America. If you get a chance, come up here and look at it from the top, and you'll see why Trump wants Greenland. Russia's right here. America's right here. Greenland's in the middle. If you look at it from the top, you can see why he wants it. We got Alaska on this side. Russia's all the way across right here. This is Russia. That's all Russia right there. That green. Russia's on that. You got Alaska on this side to stop anything from this side. You got Greenland on that side to stop anything from that side. You're protected if you get Greenland. Makes perfect sense if you look at it from the top. Okay.
Point it down. That way, yeah. You can look at it from that angle.
Okay. All right. Now, unfunded liability. Do you know they won't tell you that anymore? They won't tell you unfunded liability anymore. Used to be on the debt clock. Used to be right there for you to see. In 24, it was 225.7 trillion. 225.7. Now they tell you, what they tell you now is total debt. And it's nowhere near unfunded liabilities. Nowhere near. The unfunded debt, the debt, total debt is, I'm going to put it down here, 100 and, well, I started out wrong. It's 106 trillion, 375 billion, 260 million, 978,891. That would circle the globe 4 times. 4 times.
Those are all in miles, right?
Mm-hmm. Put that into miles and circle the globe 4 times. Okay? If there's anything going to bring down America, it's very likely could be money. But the thing is that the whole world is doing this. It's not just us. The whole world is doing this. They live it on fiat money. Everybody. What? Fiat money. Don't really exist. It don't really exist.
How many is that in pesos?
How much interest I owe you? 3 times that. All right. So you see the money situation we're in. They borrow in a stack of $100 bills, 40 inches high, every 20.7 seconds. I don't know when it's going. I don't know. And if any, what if China called into debt?
They'd own us.
Hmm?
They would own us.
They would. They'd own America. They basically own America if they called the debt. What? Yes. If they called into debt that we owe them right now, they own about 20% of the debt. 20% of that 38 trillion. They own about 20% of it. There's some people in America that own some. There's some rich people that bought treasury.
We give money to China, and China loans it back to us,
Mm-hmm.
and
And we
we
pay interest on it. We're paying $1 trillion interest a year now. We're paying that $38 trillion. Our debt, our interest on that debt is $1 trillion a year. It's more than we pay for defense. More than we pay for the military. Yeah, Arlie. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
They print money, we work for it, we pay income taxes, businesses pay income taxes on that money that they printed, so they collect our taxes and corporate taxes. What do? I mean, it's one big racket. They don't work for it, they don't do anything. They print money.
They print money. And they sell it to the bank. They sell it to the banks at a ridiculously low thing, and the banks immediately make money on it. That's how the banks all got rich, y'all. When the Fed came in, that's how they got rich. They print the money and sell it to the banks for next to nothing, and then they raise the price on it. If you borrow it or whatever, they make money on it. That's how they got rich. All right, number 4 on your sheet there, mark of the beast. The Antichrist is going to require his mark on a person before they can buy or sell. In a cashless society, with the money being done away with, he could keep up with whoever has the mark and whoever doesn't. He could keep up with that. Computers could do that. Okay, so he's going to require the mark of the beast. Right now, they have companies that will put a chip in your hand between your thumb and forefinger, and it will let you open the door, open a locked door, turn on your computer, turn on lights. You can do all kind of stuff with that little chip in your hand right there. They're doing that now. You know they put chips in dogs, so if they get lost, they can find them. This is much more important. They can put your medical record on that chip. If you're like a diabetic or if you got a problem, they'll put it on that chip. All you got to do is scan the chip, and they'll tell you what to do, what kind of medical problem you're having. They put medical info, and they put electronic access to buildings, computers, all kind of stuff in that chip. Okay. How about the tattoos? The popularity of just tattoos in general, right? You see people on TV, they ain't got a spot on them that ain't tattooed, are they? Everywhere the tattoo has become very popular. But they also have invisible tattoos that only are seen under certain light. To me, that would be the most likely mark of the beast, is an invisible tattoo that you won't, when you go through the store or something, shine a light on your forehead or on your hand, they see the mark of the beast, then you can buy your groceries. That makes sense to me. So I don't know if that's it or not, but that's the one that makes sense to me.
Biometrics will do that too.
Huh. Wait a minute, I forgot something about the money, y'all. I meant to go back. Let me go back to the money just a second. A 1913 dollar, a dollar in 1913, today is worth 3.73 cents. A dollar in 1913 today is worth $3.73 cents. Okay. All right. Yeah. When I checked the gold, the spot price of gold was $5,094.91. Silver was $108 and a nickel. So
it went from 100 cents down to 3 point some cents.
Went from 100 pennies down to 3.73 pennies. That's what a dollar did in 112 years. 112 years. All right. Data storage. The data storage in this country is ridiculous. Okay. Big tech has a profile on every person in America. I don't know if you know that or not, but they got a profile on you. You don't have to be on social media in order to have a profile. Every person in America has a technical profile. Okay. They have an estimated 1,500 data points on every person, and those 1,500 data points are in over 300 databases. Everybody in tech knows you. They know you very well. 1,500 data points on you in over 300 databases. Okay. This is what they're collecting: credit card info, texts, emails, phone calls, shopping interests, and preferences. Have you ever noticed ads appear after you shop for something? Have you ever noticed?
Talk about it, yeah. I got to think about it.
An ad suddenly appear. Do you know when you walk through a store and that phone right there tells them where you are in the store? That phone right there tells them where you are in the store. If you stop and look at something for a few minutes, they know it because they know the layout of the store. So you stop at a place in the aisle anywhere and look at something for a few minutes, they're going to give you an ad for that item the next day because they know where you stopped in the store. Walking through the store, they know where you are. I'm telling you, they do.
I'm not sure if it's true, but I saw an article that said these vacuum cleaners that run around the house,
Mm-hmm.
they're reporting to put some in your house.
I don't doubt it. I don't doubt it at all. I don't doubt it at all.
John, another thing, when the emails come in and they say unsubscribe, don't ever do that.
Mm-hmm.
Because they sell that because they know someone's there. So they duplicate. And I tried that. And sure enough, all these emails were coming in. And then they've been telling us now when it comes in, never unsubscribe, only block and delete. And sure enough, clean them right up.
Mm.
Don't have them
Yeah.
anymore.
So they know your shopping interests and your preferences. They know your reading choices. Boy, I drive them crazy because they got a very wide reading choice. I drive them nuts. They think they got me figured out. They don't. And they know your pets. They know what kind of pets you got. They know what they eat. They know everything about you. Like all of it.
They know your cat's riding around on the Roomba.
Mm-hmm.
That's all your cat.
Oh, yeah.
All right. The data centers. I'm gonna wait to do this one on this thing here, but I'm gonna give you the list of the data centers that the NSA is connected to. Okay. The NSA has the big one is Utah. We're gonna get to it in a minute. They have built one in Georgia called the Bumble Hive. The Bumble Hive is called the Georgia Cryptologic Operations Center. Huge data center in Georgia. The Texas Cryptologic Center. All of these are connected to the NSA, National Security Agency. NSA is kind of a shadow government, I'm telling you. The Texas Cryptologic Center, the Hawaii Regional Operation Data Center. All of these are connected to the NSA. Fort Meade in Maryland.
Route 32. On Route 32.
Has a 600,000 square foot data center in Maryland. Fort Meade in Maryland. Now it gets really weird. The NCAR, those are people that are keeping track of the atmosphere. These are atmospheric research people, yet they're connected to the NSA. The Wyoming Supercomputing Center. The NRC, the National Regulatory Center for nuclear stuff, nuclear regulatory. They have a data center that is connected to the NSA. And of course, the big dog is the Utah. On your sheet now, back on your sheet. The Utah, NSA Utah facility. Did you know that AT&T shares all your calls and texts and everything, emails and everything with the NSA? They do that on purpose. They have 8 cities in America that are nodes, like a node, that takes all the calls in that area and gives them to the NSA. And you say, well, I'm not on AT&T. Yeah, you are. Yeah, you are. You don't know you are, but you are. You don't know you are. Let me give you a quick schooling on how a cell phone works. That cell phone right there. Let me tell you how it works. That cell phone is basically a radio. It gets you from here to the tower. Tower sits right out there in that field. That when I make a call, that's a radio from here to that tower. It's encrypted, but I just gave you three data centers that do nothing but cryptology. Nothing but cryptology. You think they can't decrypt that phone? They can. They make you think they can't. They can. Anything you put in the air, somebody can get it out of the air. That's just a fact. It goes like a radio from here to that tower. When it hits that tower, it goes on the AT&T system in America. I used to put them in. I know what I'm talking about. It either is on a repeater or it's on a fiber optic cable from that tower to the tower where you're calling to goes. And there's a switch in the office that makes that switching around. So it sends it in the right place. That's how it works. It's on the AT&T system at some point because AT&T built the whole system. These cell phone people put up a tower, but then they connect to the AT&T system to get it from this place to that place. Okay? It's a regular telephone from that tower to the tower where it leaves to go back in the air to the cell phone you call. That's how it works. Mm-hmm. So AT&T shares every call, text, email with the NSA on purpose. They do it knowing they will. The NSA Utah facility is the big dog. I'm telling you, it's huge. It can store an estimated yottabyte of data. Yottabyte. Never had heard of that before. Had to do some research on it. And the government has been using AI since 2010. They've been using it for 15 years. It's new to us, but for them, it's old. They've been using it for 15 years. A yottabyte, y'all remember when cell phones had 16 gig? Y'all remember that? Most, started out 4, and then it went to 8, and then it went to 16. 16 gig in a phone. Mine has 128 now, but 16 gig. Mm-hmm. 16 gig of memory, 16 gig of data bits. It is equal, a yottabyte is equal to 64 trillion 16 gig phones. 64 trillion. If you put them end to end, it would reach from the Earth to the moon 24,000 times. And that data will all store in the Utah Center. That's how they can keep up with you continuously. That's how they can keep up with you everywhere you go, everything you look at, everything you buy, everything you say, it can keep up with it. Mm-hmm. I don't know. Mm-hmm.
Can create more storage capacity than what we have now. It's just like $1 million to one, something like that. It's just nuts.
It's probably been 30 years ago now. They were experimenting with what was a good storage system for data. What was a really, really extremely good storage system for data? Do you know what they found out was the best? Cancer. Cancer was the best data storage system they ever found. But they can't figure out how to use it. It grows on its own. You feed it, it grows. It can store huge amounts of data in cancer cells. Yeah, they found out that was one of the best ones. That was 30 years ago. I'm sure they've got others now, but back then cancer was they were trying to figure out a way to use it to make storage silicon. They got the little silicon, and they got quartz, and they got little things they can store it on. They were trying to use cancer.
Those data storage systems need a lot of power.
Mm-hmm.
That's the rise of regeneration of nuclear power is coming about.
That's why Trump is letting anybody that builds a factory in America build their own power system. They can use natural gas, they can use nuclear, they can use whatever they want to build their own power station to power their own factory, because the grid can't handle it. Grid cannot handle it. And he told them, said, you build your own. Choose what you want to use. Natural gas, whatever. We don't have enough generating ability to supply to all these new businesses that are coming in. We don't have it. So, all right. Satellites. When I wrote this paper in 2020, it was 4,084 continuously monitoring Earth. Now, you know as well as I do, most of the satellites that are going around this planet have something to do with Earth. There are not very many of them looking into space. There are not very many of them at all looking into space. At the current time, there are 12,148 satellites around Earth in service. I'm not talking about junk up there, space junk. I'm talking about satellites in service. 12,148 total satellites. In 2024 alone, there were 254 rocket launches in the world. 254 rocket launches in the world, and they put in place, in orbit around the Earth, 2,578 satellites in 1 year. In 1 year. 2,578 in 2024. And Google said 20 years ago that when they could perfect the technology that Google satellites, and Google usually does is attach to somebody else's. They'll contribute to them putting a satellite up, and they get a little space on the satellite. Google wants their satellites that they contribute to have facial recognition from space. They're working on perfecting that. Okay. 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 I think I got all that stuff done. Let's see, what did I leave over here? Oh yeah, I need this back. Okay. All right. Big Brother technology on Earth. Okay. In cities, a person can be recorded by 300 cameras a day. That's probably way out of date. That was probably in 2020. It's probably continuously. There's probably no place you go that you're not on camera. Probably nowhere. In cities, a person can be recorded every 5 minutes. No, it's continuously. In cities, it's continuously. You are never out of range of a camera, hardly. The UK in 2020 admitted to having 6 million closed circuit TV cameras. Today, they still admit to 6 million. Today. How many have they added in 6 years? How many have they added? Millions and millions. They still only say 6 million. Okay. You can't get accurate information. I'm telling you. That's why it took me a lot of work to get this, y'all. The U.S. has an estimated 30 million. That was in 2020. Today, they admit to 85 million, and it's probably double that. It's probably double that. Okay. Chicago, when I did this in 2020, had 4,000 cameras just in public schools. In 2023 to 2025, they spent $76.3 million adding cameras in schools. Just cameras in schools. $76.3 million adding cameras in schools. That was Chicago. China, when I did this, had 170 million, and they were claiming they were going to add 400 million. Okay. So they admit today, China admits to 600 million. The U.S. intelligence said China had 800 million. It's probably double that. China gives you a social score based on your expression on your face. They have to have a camera on your face in order to give you a social score based on your expression on your face. If you're at work and you're not smiling, you get a low social score. And that cuts back on your things you can buy, things you can do, places you can go. If you don't have a good social score, you are restricted in what you do and how much you make. It affects your money. You have to be happy at work. That's right. You have to be a happy communist. You know, I'm a happy Christian. Mm-hmm. See my smile?
Halloween drives them nuts.
Mm-hmm. So they probably have way more than that. Todd, what did you say about when you were in China? They told you about cameras.
This was in 2018, and they said, "Don't worry, you're perfectly safe." That the government has a project; they're installing cameras everywhere. The police knows what everybody is doing. Mm-hmm. The other thing was we could go out and we went to the Great Wall, and they had these people hawking stuff with refrigerator magnets and stuff like that. I couldn't buy it because all I had was a credit card. I didn't have cash. I didn't have a credit card. The person that was the escort had to buy it with her phone. Mm. So you had to have a bank in China, and you had to have money that they would let you buy even a trinket. Mm. So they're cashless.
Oh yeah, they're cashless, and they're also very well watched in China. So probably several billion cameras in China by now. Amazon had, they don't have it anymore, but they had a $500 million government contract to create better facial recognition software. Did a little research on it. Couldn't find it in 2020 when I did this. Their facial recognition software was called Recognize. It's got a K instead of a C. REKOGNIZE. Recognize. It was so good that it caused an uproar. Let's see where I got it back here. Amazon facial recognition software. It caused an uproar because it was so good. It could identify 100 people in a single image instantly. 100 people in one single picture instantly. The uproar forced it to go underground. It's still in use. Still in use. The government uses it every day, but they don't talk about it now. They were proud of it when it came out. They don't talk about it anymore. It's underground. It's still being used. Okay? All right. On the back. Any smart device can be remotely controlled. Any smart device. It don't matter where it is, your TV, your temperature, your thermostat in your house, up and down, anything that's a smart device can be remotely controlled by a hacker. A hacker. A hacker. Any hacker can get in. All right. I didn't read this last year. This guy that they were talking to. They were talking to a guy named Steve Rambam. He was the CEO of Polarium Investigative Agency. He's being interviewed for this thing on TV, on Fox News. And they were talking to him, and the reporter asked a question. He says, hard to believe 10 years ago, the concept of facial recognition, biometric surveillance, and domestic drones was limited to science fiction movies like Minority Report. And he goes crazy on the Minority Report movie. So if you've never seen it, watch it. It's almost prophetic. It's almost prophetic if you haven't seen it. But in the middle of this thing, this is what the guy says in the middle of his comeback. And this information is needed if you're unfortunately one of those registers who still think something like this. Well, hey, I don't need Jesus. I don't need God. I don't need to be saved. You Christians are a bunch of wackos. If the hammer comes down in the 7-year tribulation, I'll just put my cell phone in airplane mode or disconnect it from the internet, or better yet, I'll take out that SIM card so that they can't track me. Ha ha ha. So what Fox did was they did a little experiment to see. Fox News, we know that Google is tracking us. We agree to it when we set up our phones. So we wanted to find out what exactly Google is learning about us throughout the day. So here's what we are going to do. We have 2 identical phones. The only difference between these 2 phones is this one is in airplane mode. Both of the phones lack a SIM card. They don't have a card in it. Back in the day when they had SIM cards. Okay. And they haven't been set up to access any Wi-Fi network. So for all intents and purposes, these phones have no connection to a data network. We're going to keep them with us throughout the day as we travel around DC. We're going to find out just exactly what Google is finding out about me. Our first stop is Sim's convenience store just outside Fox Bureau for a quick coffee. From there, we took a walk to the Capitol and then a swift walk around the office buildings, and then decided to hop into a car and drive around town. Hello, we are going to the Children's Hospital, please. Jumped in a taxi cab. To do our test, we have to do more than walk the block. So we took a cruise around the nation's capital. Due north to the Children's National Medical Center, then west to St. Albans School, and the National Cathedral School. Our tour around town was a 14.8-mile journey that lasted more than an hour. This entire time, the phones had no access to the internet, no Wi-Fi, and no cellular data service. It almost seemed quaint that Google wouldn't be able to collect data on us. Back to the Bureau, my friend. Now we are back here at our Fox Bureau in D.C., and we have both our phones exactly like we left with them. And the only difference is I snapped a couple of bad selfies at the National Cathedral. Otherwise, they have stayed in my pocket the entire day. So let's see what they know. This is our man in the middle device. They had a technology guy that called what was coming out of the phone as it was going to Google. He diverted it to see what it was that was going toward Google. It is basically a Wi-Fi network that these phones will connect to once we turn their Wi-Fi on. That's basically what it was. It was just a way to connect to see what they were sending. It's going to pass data through it on its way to Google. But on the way, we are actually going to get a copy of the same data that Google is going to get. We will be able to decrypt it and then see where we have been throughout the day. Within minutes, the numbers started rolling in. The phone that wasn't on airplane mode registered more than 100 locations, tracking them with no SIM card, no Wi-Fi, and it just in the pocket. 100 locations, 130 activities, and even 152 biometric readings. It knew when they stood up, when they sat down. The phone knew. As soon as it hooked up to the Wi-Fi, it registered 300,000 bytes of data being transferred straight to Google. Even logged our exact locations, tracking us all around town, the Capitol, the hospital, the school, the cathedral. What's missing here is the exact route we took, but it got that data too. It knows when I got out of the car. The metadata has a time log down to the very second, tracking everything. When they think you are walking, riding, and yes, even getting out of the car. Okay, so you're thinking this is no big deal, just put my phone in airplane mode. We thought of that too. The other phone with no SIM card that remained in airplane mode the entire time, let's see what kind of data it captured. The phone with airplane mode activated actually logged more locations and activities than did the other phone. Because it was in airplane mode, it logged more. And it also transferred hundreds of kilobytes to Google as soon as it was activated. Thousands of bytes of data. They even followed where most people would expect total privacy: government buildings, a children's hospital, a private school, a church. Every step you take, Google is watching. That will come in handy for the Antichrist, who in the 7-year tribulation will give an order for people to worship him. And I wonder how he knows who does and who doesn't, let alone track them down and kill those who don't. Unless you think this tracking ability won't go global, it already has. This book was published in 2019. Okay. Ads pop up after conversation. Somebody said, talk about it, and you get an ad, right? 3 or 4 years ago, Jim and Kelly Starnes were in this class. And Jim, I was talking about this that night, and Jim said, let me tell you what happened to us. He and Kelly were leaving to come to the class, and he went to get a drink out of the refrigerator, and they were out. And he said, we like a certain drink that we get at QT. He said, we go by QT and pick up these drinks. He said, that's what we drink at home. He said, and we were out. So he said, I turned to Kelly and said, we gotta go get some drinks at QT. They walked out of the house, got in the car, and his phone flashed on and said, don't forget to go by QT to pick up your drink. He was sitting right at that table right there telling me that 3 years ago. If that was 3 years ago, what are they doing now? How about cameras? Remotely controlled. Do you know that Mark Zuckerberg covers his cameras on his computer and phone and stuff. He knows they're watching. He knows it for a fact. He covers his. I had written something about cameras here. Let me see what we do this here. It is estimated that 112,000 crimes were investigated using cameras in 2022. That's 4 years ago. Today, 52% of homes have security cameras of some kind, a Ring phone or a Ring doorbell or something. It is estimated by 2026 there will be well over 1 billion cameras in America. The loss prevention was the most often reason cameras were used. People stealing in stores. 336 million homes had security cameras installed in 2021. Yeah. So, computers can be hacked. We all know that. You probably had some company send you a notice that they got hacked and your information got taken by somebody. You probably all had that happen. I've had it. Home data. How about your stuff at home? Anybody in here got Alexa? Anybody? Y'all are smarter than the average bear. You know that. Alexa recordings have been used in trials. Things that were said in a house and recorded on Alexa were used in trials to convict somebody. Siri's listening too, y'all. The phone right there. Siri's listening too. Anybody ever seen Google Nest? Those things are still around. Google Nest is spooky. It's got a motion sensor. It follows you when you walk. You talk to it like a person. It's crazy. You set it in your kitchen cabinet, it'll follow you around the kitchen. Remote control appliances can be hacked and turned on. Smart locks can be opened. They had an ad on TV not long ago. A little girl in bed hits a button and locks the house up. Well, if she can hit a button and lock it up, somebody can hit a button and unlock the house. Okay. Baby monitors. We've all heard the stories of baby monitors getting hacked. Somebody doing that. Smart TV. You know, when you're watching TV, TV's watching you too. When you're watching TV, the TV's watching you. I added one this year, AI. AI is doing schoolwork for kids, but that's the minor part of what AI is doing, y'all. There's a couple suing OpenAI. That's the company that started it. That's the company that first began. They're suing OpenAI. Their son was getting advice from AI, talking to AI, getting advice on what he should do. AI talked him into committing suicide. And it was recorded. They had the recordings of AI telling him to kill himself. They're suing OpenAI. I expect OpenAI to probably go out of business when this is all said and done. They need to go out of business. They really, really do. All right.
You mentioned Mark Zuckerberg. He's been known to say that AI will be your best friend.
Yeah. I've seen the Terminator movie. I know that's not my best friend. If you haven't seen the Terminator movies, watch them again. Watch the Terminator movies. Yeah. All right, it's 8:00. Any questions about anything? This technology has to be in place in order for the second half of tribulation to be like what the Bible said it would. Has to be in place. You have to have a tracking system. You have to have a cashless society. You have to have able to spend money only if you have a certain mark of the beast. All of that has to take place. All of this technology has to happen in order for that to happen. The second half of tribulation. Yes.
There is so much technology, it's hard to understand like this Guthrie woman that has been, they assume she's been kidnapped or whatever. You would think they would be able to find him with all this stuff, that it would be easy to find where she's at. I don't understand why they, if they've got so much technology, why is it they can't find these people? Why can't they?
Well, it's Arizona. They probably haven't got cameras on cactuses out there yet. But that, I don't know what's going to happen with her, but this technology is building. We're really at the beginnings of it, y'all. We're really at the beginnings of it. It's going to get much more involved before we get to the second half of tribulation. Much more. Yeah, Lee. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I don't doubt it.
Well, David Jeremiah said a very comforting thing on one of his messages. Says we are only 7 years away from eternal peace.
Well, the millennial kingdom is not going to be perfect peace. I promise you. It's not going to be perfect peace in the millennial kingdom. So. All right. Any questions about this? Keep your sheets for the second half of tribulation. We'll be going there next. Y'all say I wore this shirt on purpose? Things are not falling apart. Things are not falling to pieces. The pieces are falling into place. Okay? All right. Any questions? Once? Twice? I'm praying. Heavenly Father, we ask you, Lord, to be with us and give us insight on what to do and what not to do in this crazy world, this upside-down world. Lord, be with our folks that are having surgery tomorrow, Rudy and Cheryl especially, with their surgeries. Be with the doctors and nurses and give them skill and wisdom they've never had before so that the surgeries come out perfect. We want to hear the word routine at the end of the surgery. We ask you, Lord, to be involved in everything that's done for them. And help us to know your word, understand your word, understand the prophecy in your word in a better way. In Jesus' name, amen.